The political battle.
Let's get to the top news story of American domestic politics that I get incredibly angry about, and I will continue to get incredibly angry about. We're talking about the border. Trump and Biden are holding dueling events along the border. Both of them are anti-immigrant, white nativist pieces of shit. They're dueling on who's going to fund the border wall better at this point, which is insane. Because you will never be able to out-racist the Republican Party. Let's continue.
Between Donald Trump and President Biden over immigration policy will be on full display today at the southern border. Why? Because the two frontrunners in this year's campaign will hold dueling events along the Rio Grande.
I don't think the Biden camp is even considering what kind of impact this might have on states like Nevada, on states like New Mexico, maybe even Arizona, places where there are a lot of young Hispanic voters. You need young Hispanic voters to win the election as a Democratic Party. This kind of sentiment being expressed by a person who is already unpopular in said demographics is going to only further embolden people into not voting. Very important to consider. I understand the calculation the Democratic Party is doing, where they think that, the anti-immigrant sentiment has taken hold in the minds of many, many American liberals and right-wingers alike. And therefore, in an effort to pick off or maintain some of these moderates, the suburb whites that formerly voted for Donald Trump but think he's like ruining democracy, the Brandon regime has decided to take a right-wing heel turn.
Ed O'Keefe is in Brownsville, Texas, where President Biden plans to be later today. Ed, good morning to you.
Gail, good to see you. This will be President Biden's second visit to a border town since taking office. He's expected to use the trip to blame Republicans for holding up bipartisan attempts to stem illegal border crossings. But in his own trip, President Trump is expected to point the finger right back at Biden.
Under Biden, we now have the worst border in the history of the world.
The only reason the border is not secure is Donald Trump and his MAGA Republican friends.
There have been a record.
Notice how both parties are saying that the border is fucked up and that we have to deal with it not by creating a more streamlined approach to immigration processing, but instead by being more ruthless and cruel. And Biden is saying that he's going to be even crueler than Trump. No one believes him. No one. That's it.
2.4 million migrants apprehended at the border in just the past fiscal year. The president and congressional Republicans are blamed about equally for failing to come up with a solution. So as he continues pushing Republicans to act, the president is coming to Brownsville, where illegal border crossings are now down, says Chris Cabrera, who leads the
It's fucking awesome, dude.
local border patrol union.
I'm glad he's finally here, but I think the timing's a little off. I mean,
Just like the Democratic Party so consistently will just be like, yes, the Republicans are right, actually. But we're going to be better than them on the issue that they ran on every single year, that we ran against every single year. Why in the ever-loving fuck would anybody go, oh, okay, yeah, I'm voting for the Democratic Party because they're the real racist ones? here. They're the real racists, I promise.
I mean, if he would have come a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I think it would have been a good thing to see that, hey, I have a problem area.
Recent attempts to pass a bipartisan deal were blocked by Republicans at the urging of former President Donald Trump.
I think we killed it. I think it's dead.
Today, he'll be about 325 miles to the west of the president in Eagle Pass, the center of a standoff between the Republican Governor Greg Abbott and federal officials over how to police the border.
It's overkill to me.
Adam Rodriguez owns a business near the park and has lived in Eagle Pass for 30 years.
We're known around town and through other small towns in the area as illegal pass.
But Rodriguez says that's unfair.
We raised our kids here, you know, and there's never been any criminal element. You don't have to worry about walking down the street.
A key reason both presidents.
Interesting. Interesting. It's like, but yeah, but both of the president, both people running for president right now are like, no, but we have to, like, you know, we have to kill some migrants. Like, please. Why do you think the Dems have changed their position? I've told you this already. It's because they are spineless cowards and fucking losers and actually don't really care about anything and don't have any fucking firm commitments to any positions that they claim they care about every 4 years. This time around, they've decided they're not even going to advocate for the opposite part. Hasan only followed to say this. You're a prime example of a Nepo baby fraud. Thank you. You have owned me in the marketplace of ideas once again. Thank you for holding me accountable, chatter. You will now watch the top of the hour ad break as you try to listen to what else I have to say about how hard you owned me, but you will unfortunately only see a 3-minute ad break. You will, however, be able to avoid the 3-minute ad break if you subscribe. That's right. I'll unban you so you can do that. Okay? So you can subscribe and continue to hold me accountable. That Ludwig vid is driving the DGGers wild because they don't stop posting dumb shit. Little do they understand that the more they post like this, the more people recognize that, like, they're insane and ruthless and come across as not normal. Like full-blown psychosis shit. Paris 115S, thank you for the 521 gifted subs. Are people finally realizing that? A lot of people are. Problem is, many people already knew that. They're just, like, afraid. They don't want to say anything because they don't want to get the same fucking insanity. If you're feeling good, pop a titty out. I'm feeling good. And maybe. I won't stop hoping that I can change their minds on some issues at least, even if it's on accident. Let's continue.
Presidential candidates are coming here, of course, is because voters now say immigration and border security are a top concern. And it's House Republicans back in Washington holding up attempts to get this deal, holding up potentially a government shutdown that would begin later this week. Simply put, Nate, this issue is going to be central to the elections this year.
You're right about that, Ed. President Biden had his annual physical yesterday.
Anyway. Some guy in one of my random DM groups despises you and he considers himself a progressive atheist, and he recently linked a drama alert tweet to me to prove you're evil and a grifter. It was very funny to me. He's just an Islamophobic piece of shit. Yeah. So Trump did a dueling border fucking take where he had some wonderful moments. And so did Brandon. This is great because this way you get to see, you know, how far we have fallen in the Democratic Party.
Because everybody I speak to says how horrible it is. Nobody explained to me how allowing millions of people from places unknown, from countries unknown, who don't speak languages. We have languages coming into our country. We have nobody that even speaks those languages. They're truly foreign languages. Nobody speaks them.
Yeah. They're speaking languages that nobody speaks. Mexican. Folks, believe me when I say nobody speaks Mexican. Not even the Mexicans, folks.
Folks here in Brownsville and all along the border know that. We need to have their backs, your backs. I want the people to.
This is so funny to me, dude. I don't know. Like, as a person who's covered specifically the Democratic Party, but just American politics for the past 10 years, this is just unfortunately a very tragic and yet still absurdly funny moment where you got both of the people running for president sitting in front of Border Patrol agents and just being like, yep, we got to do something about these immigrants, man. Yeah. What happened to the harm reducers is the question I have. The harm reducers have changed course and are now also doing the harm themselves, by the way. All the harm reducers that used to say, oh, I guess you don't care about transgender immigrants last time around are now like, we should literally kill the immigrants ourselves, okay? And Biden is going to do a much better job of killing the immigrants than Trump. Why don't you want to vote for him?
To understand clearly what happened here. This bill was in the United States Senate, was on its way to being passed. Then it was derailed by rank and file politics, partisan politics. The U.S. Senate needs to reconsider this bill, and those senators who oppose it need to set politics aside and pass it on merits, not on whether it's going to benefit one party or benefit the other party. It's about whether it benefits the American people.
Didn't Obama have a bad track record on this too? Yes, he was the deporter in chief. However, the Democratic Party in the past would at least get concessions. So one thing Obama did was a classic Democratic Party proposition where he basically facilitated a DACA bill while simultaneously becoming even more cruel on border apprehensions. So this time around, however, because of the ratchet effect, there is no concession that the Democratic Party is even trying to get out of this. They just full-blown made a Trump bill and are desperately trying to pass it for some fucking weird reason.
I would, in fact, make sure that we immediately surge to the border. All those people are seeking asylum. They deserve to be heard. That's who we are. We're a nation that says if you want to flee and you're fleeing oppression, you should come.
That was an executive order. The Republicans gave him nothing after he went super harsh on immigrants. I know, but at least he did that, right? You can point to that. We didn't even do that. Our executive orders are also on the right-wing side. Donald Trump had a 16-point edge over Biden on border immigration in the fall of 2020. He has a 35-point edge now per NBC polling. Key to understand today's dueling trips. I'm willing to bet his edge is going to go even harder, by the way. Stick to the issues where you're winning, dumbass. By validating Trump's fucking border proposals, all you have done is cave, concede, and capitulate to the right-wing framing on the matter. You will never win on that front. Doesn't matter how many times I fucking repeat this, by the way, because there are dull motherfuckers in here who will never understand. They are going to refuse to understand. It is their inability to understand that allows the Democratic Party to consistently put forward these incompetent, limp dick pieces of shit that think this is going to win this time. All I got to say is John Kerry Swift boat, okay? John Kerry. Democrats tried to present him as the real patriot. Served in the Vietnam War. He had a Purple Heart. What did the Republicans do? They were like, fuck no, he's gay. He's gay as hell. I bet his Purple Heart is fake. That's what they fucking said. They were like, oh, George W. Bush didn't serve. John Kerry did. We're the real party of patriotism. No one fucking believed it. Yet that still hasn't stopped the Democratic Party from trying to, relitigate that same exact argument and reinforce that same exact narrative. So dumb. Democrats hope that the GOP tanking a bipartisan border bill at the Trump's direction will show Republicans are unwilling to address core issues. But as Representative Dan Crenshaw told me, Democrats are badly mistaken. If they think this is one deal falling apart is somehow going to change the entire paradigm of voting on immigration. Exactly. It's like if tomorrow the Republican Party was like, yeah, we're gay now. We're the gay party. Democrats are the homophobes. We love homosexuality. We want to do gay shit. We want to trans your children. You think a single fucking person is going to be like, yeah, actually, that's right. I'm voting for the Republican Party because they're pro-gay. No. For Dems, fighting immigration to something closer to a draw, like in New York 3, is a goal, and the package's failure provides at least one opening. New York 3 is actually a really good example of not to do that, because immigration is not the reason why New York 3 was won by the Democratic Party. It wasn't. The Democratic Party legislator there was still severely behind the Republican Party on the issue of immigration. It was abortion that actually saved him. Well, what the fuck do I know? Right? What do I know? Nothing. Oh. But immigration is kind of like the most important issue for moderate voters, so we have to talk about it. Oh my God. All right. You don't lean into the opposing side's argument. You do not lead. You do not try to lead the conversation on an issue that you're losing. You will never be able to win that conversation. Yeah, I need a wiki education. Anyway. Does anyone have any better? Wait, let's see more. Wait, more. Let's see more. Let's see more Biden takes. I love this little thing that we're doing here. Matching what Biden is saying now versus matching what Biden used to say about immigration when he was running.
The American people deserve. The Speaker of the House needs to put this bill on the floor, because if he put it on the floor unrestricted, it would pass. The majority of Democrats and Republicans in both houses support this legislation, until someone came along and said, don't do that, it'll benefit the incumbent. That's a hell of a way to do business in America for such a serious problem. We need to act. It's time for the speakers and some of my Republican friends in Congress who are blocking this bill to show a little spine. Pass a bipartisan, remember, bipartisan. Conservative leaders supported this. Border security bill. Let's remember who we work for God's sake. We work for the American people. Let me, folks here in
Your administration separated children from their parents at the border, at least 4,000 kids. You've since reversed your zero-tolerance policy, but the United States can't locate the parents of more than 500 children. So how will these families ever be reunited?
Children are brought here by coyotes and lots of bad people, cartels, and they're brought here, and they used to use them to get into our country.
Joe Biden's like, children are being brought over by coyotes, Jack. And I'm going to make sure that those bad people are punished. I'm the one who wants to do it, Jack. Oh, I shouldn't say anymore. I'm going to get into trouble. I'm going to get in trouble if I keep talking about it.
We now have as strong a border as we've ever had. We're over 400 miles of brand new wall. You see the numbers, and we let people in, but they have to come in legally, and they come in through
But
merit.
how will you
But let
reunite
me
these
just tell
kids
you,
with their families,
let me just tell you,
Mr.
they
President?
built cages. You know, they used to say, I built the cages, and then they had to.
It's true. Look. Notice how he's very cleverly, and he used to do this during during his tenure, all the fucking time, where he was like, "I didn't build the cages, Obama did," and that was true. Obama had built the cages. Look how good that did. Trump used them. So did Obama. But
picture in a certain newspaper, and it was a picture of these horrible cages, and they said, look at these cages. President.
I like that he's saying these horrible cages, like saying that when Obama does it, it's bad, but when I do it, it's good. Which, again, idiotic, and therefore very dumb for you to try to argue with these fucking idiots, or even dumber, to try to agree with them.
President Trump built them, and then it was determined they were built in 2014. That was him.
Do you have a
built
plan to
cages.
reunite the kids?
Yes,
with
we're
their
working on
families?
it we're trying very hard. But a lot of these kids come out without the parents. They come over through cartels and through coyotes and through gangs.
Vice President Biden, let me bring you into this
525
conversation. Quick response, and then another question to you.
These 500 plus kids came with parents. They separated them at the border to make it a disincentive to come to begin with. Real tough. We're really strong. And guess what? They cannot, it's not coyotes didn't bring them over. Their parents were with them. They got separated from their parents. And it makes us a laughing stock and violates every notion of who we are as a nation.
Let me ask you a follow-up
Kristen,
question.
they did it. We changed the policy.
Your response
they
to that?
They did it. We changed.
did not
They built the
separate
cages.
the
Who built the cages, Joe?
Let's talk about what
Who
we're
built the
talking about.
cages,
Let's
Joe?
talk about what we're talking about. What happened? Parents were ripped, their kids were ripped from their arms and separated. And now they cannot find over 500 sets of those parents, and those kids are alone. Nowhere to go. Nowhere.
Isn't this the one where he almost gave Brandon COVID too? That's his flu game, dog. That's Trump's flu game.
to go. It's criminal. It's criminal.
Let me ask
Kristen,
you
I will
about
say this.
immigration.
They
10
went down.
seconds,
We
and
brought
then I need to ask
reporters,
you a question.
everything. They are so well taken care of. They're in facilities that were so clean.
But some
and
of
have
them
gotten
haven't been
such
reunited
But
with their
just ask
families.
one question. Who built the cages? I'd love you to ask him that. Who built the cages?
Let me ask about your immigration policy, Mr. Vice President. The Obama administration did fail to deliver immigration reform, which had been a key promise during the administration. It also presided over record deportations as well as family detentions at the border before changing course. So why should voters trust you with an immigration overhaul now?
Well, they shouldn't. They shouldn't have. But we did anyway, because harm reduction, right?
Because we made a mistake. It took too long to get it right. It took too long to get it right. I'll be president
I'm glad that he's reversing course on that. He's now getting it right.
of the United States, not vice president of the United States. And the fact is, I've made it very clear. Within 100 days, I'm going to send to the United States Congress a pathway to citizenship for over 11 million undocumented people. And
Damn. Dude, wasn't that sick when we did that? Mass amnesty for 11 million undocumented immigrants living on inside of U.S. borders. It was pretty fire when he did that, honestly. I do love a guy who, you know, what is this? Oh, dude, we're going way back in time now. I do love an honest leader that follows through on his campaign promises. You know what I mean?
all of those so-called dreamers, those DACA kids, they're going to be immediately certified again to be able to stay in this country and put on a path to citizenship. The idea that they are being sent home by this guy and they want to do that is they've gone to a country they've never seen before. I can imagine you're 5 years old, your parents are taking you across the Rio Grande River and it's illegal. And you say, oh no, Mom, leave me here. I'm not going to go with you. They've been here. Many of them are model citizens. Over 20,000 of them are first responders out there taking care of people during this crisis.
95% approval for what he's saying, by the way. 95%. So much so that even fucking Donald Trump was like, I don't know about this DACA stuff, guys. Like, I don't know.
President Obama was known as the deporter-in-chief, removing more than 3 million people.
Hold on, let's finish this.
We owe them. We owe them.
President
Kristen,
Trump,
he
your
had
reaction.
8 years to do what he said he was going to do. And I've changed without having a specific. We got rid of catch and release. We got rid of a lot of horrible things that they put in and that they lived with. But he had 8 years he was vice president. He did nothing except build cages to keep children in.
Vice President
Wrong.
Biden, your response.
The catch and release, you know what he's talking about there? If in fact you had a family came across and they were arrested, they in fact were given a date to show up for their hearing. They were released. And guess what? They showed up for a hearing. And this is the first president in the history of the United States of America that anybody seeking asylum has to do it in another country. That's never happened before in America. That's never happened before in America. You come to the United States and you make your case that I seek asylum based on the following premise, why I deserve it under American law. They're sitting in squalor on the other side of the river.
President Trump, your response.
So
30
important.
seconds, and then we'll move
It
on.
just shows that he has no understanding of immigration or the laws. Catch and release is a disaster. A murderer would come in, a rapist would come in, a very bad person would come in. We would take their name. We have to release them into our country. And then you say they come back. Less than 1% of the people come back. We have to send ICE out and Border Patrol out to find them. We would say, come back in 2 years, 3 years. We're going to give you a court case. You need Perry Mason. We're going to give you a court case. When you say they...
Why are we rewatching this? I wonder why we're rewatching this at the eve of Joe Brandon basically going to the border today alongside Donald Trump and offering the identical sentiment that Donald Trump is expressing here. But this time from the right. Not only did he obviously never follow through on his promises on fixing immigration, he then turned around and has now completely taken the position that Donald Trump had 4 years prior when he was running against him. There is no better indication that the harm reduction argument is just a fucking ridiculous thing to claim when you are the one who is trying to do the fucking harm yourself.
come back? They don't come back, Joe. They never come back. Only the really, I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ, they might come back.
Okay, President Trump.
Yeah, he keeps saying that, except like 90% of them do actually attend their court proceedings. So he's a piece of shit. So that's why he actually started adding that, like, only the dumbest ones come back.
Single most important thing we can do for our economy, for America's future, is pass immigration reform now. It's the single most significant thing we can do. I heard for too damn long about how this was going to bankrupt us, that Social Security was going to take a nosedive and so on. You heard it all the last 6, 7 years. Well, guess what? Guess what? It's a game changer financially for the country.
During the Biden-Obama administration, Trump campaigned
made me
on
president.
Build
Thank
That
you.
Wall. I did, no. The Obama-Biden administration, Trump campaigned on Build That Wall. Are you willing to tear that wall down?
No, there will not be another foot of wall constructed in my administration.
Wait, no. No, wait, did he say that? Wait, what? That's so weird. Hold on 1 second. Wait a minute. When is this one? Wait, what? Since 2021? Wait, I'm sorry, what? Wait, hold on. What? That's what is happening. What is, does Biden know this? Does Biden know that? Wait, Biden says he had to use Trump era funds for the border wall. Asked if Barry's work. He says no. Wait a minute. Okay. Hold on. Wait, what? I don't understand. October 6, 2023, Biden resumes border wall construction.
Thank you so much.
I'll answer one question on the border wall. The border wall, the money was appropriated for the border wall. I tried to get them to reappropriate, to redirect that money. They didn't. They wouldn't. And in the meantime, there's nothing under the law other than they have to use the money for what it was appropriate.
Oh, I don't get it. I don't understand. But right here he's saying we're not going to put another inch on the wall. Wait, what?
Number two, what I'm going to focus on, the fact is that somebody in this group written a lot about the border. I'm going to make sure that we have border protection, but it's going to be based on making sure that we use high-tech capacity to deal with it.
Yeah, this is the other part of it, which was always like, we're just going to put lasers, dog.
Drastic action to address the migrant crisis as illegal crossings surge right now at the U.S.-Mexico border. It says it will waive 26 federal laws and regulations to build more barrier walls in one Texas border county. A reminder, this is what then candidate Joe Biden said about border walls back in 2020.
There will not be another foot of wall constructed in my administration.
But this is now when the situation has.
Watching a 4-month-old video, yeah, because the entire point I'm trying to demonstrate to you is that Biden went from no border walls to build the fucking wall. I mean, I'm sorry. Pretty wild. Pretty wild stuff.
And at the ports of entry, that's where all the bad stuff is happening.
What about the land confiscations?
Stop, done, over.
Wait, no more land confiscations? Wait. But I don't understand why. What?
We're not going to do it. Withdraw the lawsuits. We're out. We're not going to confiscate the land.
Wait, what?
What do you say to the silent majority who see you as an extension of President Obama, representing a time when many felt like they weren't heard, they weren't seen, people who feel like this country is trending too far left? And I have one more part to this question I want to ask you. In your first 100 days as president, what will you do to create a pathway to citizenship for many undocumented immigrants? That is a big issue for the AAPI community.
So for the record, I just want to point to something here. The 118, what is it, million, billion, whatever the fucking, what is the proposal? How big is the proposal? $118 billion border bill, which also featured aid for Ukraine and Israel originally. The billion one is the aid. That's why I was like, because it has like the Ukraine and Israel aid in it. But that original proposal, for the record, just so you understand, that proposal features additional funds for continuing border wall construction. $60 billion in military aid for Ukraine, $14 billion for Israel, $4.8 billion for Indo-Pacific region, Taiwan. $10 billion in humanitarian assistance for Ukraine, Israel, Gaza, among other places. $2.3 billion in refugee assistance inside the U.S. $20 billion for improvements to U.S. border security. $2 billion for domestic uranium enrichment. There's also, wait, hold on. Not the emergency authority, but there is also funding in this, which the PBS article is not detailing. But there is funding in this, in the, I guess, this part. the $20 billion for border security part, that directly has border wall funding in it. Just so you understand. Listen, there's always money in the banana stand for doing reactionary right-wing politics, okay? More war, more borders, more nonsense. Just saying.
Community, as you know, 1.7 million face deportation threats. Another 100,000 are young people who are affected by the DACA program. So 2 parts for you. What are you going to do to be more visible? And what do you say to the folks that think you're just going to be President Obama 2.0? And what?
Wait, what? He only built half an inch? Fake news media? Somehow Trump will lose to this guy again. Lamont, politicians have to compromise. Can you believe it? Dude, you went through, you are no different than a Trump supporter, okay? You literally said fake news media. He only built half an inch. Then said Trump is going to lose to this guy again, which he very well might, okay? But that doesn't actually address any of the things that we're talking about currently. Politicians have to compromise. Can you believe it? You offered cover to Biden, basically going against all of his promises. So why did you vote for him last time then? If this is what you wanted already? I don't understand. This is not compromise at all. This is just pure hypocrisy in display. It's also bad because it completely feeds into the narrative. Like it basically calcifies the narrative that the border issue is one of national security concerns. Okay? It's Jover on that front. You have completely caved to the right. It's a manufactured narrative built on lies. And now the Democratic Party and all the mainstream organs are basically repeating it.
What are you going to do about immigration right when you get in office?
Look, I am very proud to serve with Barack, and it's one of the great honors of my life. I thought he was a great president. But even he acknowledges we can't go back to what it was. We have to go back and build back better. And so I have a program that is significantly different and builds upon where we left off and tries to undo the damage that Trump has done, number one. Number two,
good thing he did that.
I campaigned from home about Biden hiding in his cellar. Well, the truth of the matter is over 200 million people have watched me on television. And they've watched, and the more that Donald Trump is out, the worse he does. I think it's wonderful he goes out. He goes, I'm being a bit facetious because it's dangerous what he's doing with these rallies. But look at, his numbers have dropped through the floor. They've dropped through the floor, number one. Number two, I've gone out responsibly. I go out and I wear this mask when I go out. And when I go out responsibly, and I don't
immigration plan,
don't hold rallies because the experts and the scientists about social distancing and wearing masks, I never fail to do. Now, one day, on day one, I'm going to send a legislative immigration reform bill to Congress to provide a roadmap to citizenship for 11 million undocumented immigrants who contribute so much to this country, including 1.7 million AAPI. My immigration policy is built around keeping families together, modernizing the immigration system by keeping families, unification, and diversity as pillars of our immigration system, which it used to be. Ending Trump's cruel and inhumane policy at the border.
Damn, dude. What? That's crazy. Yo, I want to vote for this guy, bro. He's got the smoke. Damn, dude. This guy's going to defeat the current administration. The current administration is running on this fucking like anti-immigrant slant, talking about how they need to fix this crisis at the border and shit. Where's this guy? I want to vote for this guy. He seems like a young whippersnapper. in comparison to the fucking dying corpse that's currently running the country. Who, two different guys. I mean, their faces don't even look the same. Come on. Different guy, right? Must be.
Have ripped children from their mother's arms. Take immediate action to protect dreamers, including the more than 100,000 eligible dreamers from East and South Asia. Rescinding the un-American Muslim ban immediately. Restoring refugee admission in line with the values and historic leadership of our country.
Refugee admission? Wow. This guy certainly didn't fucking implement continue the incredibly cruel Title 42 provisions and also simultaneously used it and is now planning on using a separate executive order to basically not even to do away with Title 42 and just simply ban asylum seekers from coming into the country. That's not the guy, right?
Raising the target to a minimum of 125,000 people a year in my first year. He's cut it down to 15. The average has been 95,000 a year. Working with Congress to establish a bipartisan legislation to ensure a minimum admission of 95,000 refugees. That's who we are. That's how my great-great-grandfather, four greats back got here. He got in a coffin ship on the Irish Sea, never knowing whether he was going to make it. And he made it to the United States of America in 1848 when the British were anyway. So streamlining naturalization process, make it easier for qualified green card holders to move through his backlog. And by the
He's really spitting here, dude. This is an objectively pro-immigration agenda. Objectively. What happened? What happened to that guy? Is he running for president? I'd like to hear from him.
By the way, he just indicated he ended H-1B visas the rest of this year. That will not be in my administration.
Hey, NBC News.
We're going to talk about immigration now, gentlemen, and we're going to talk about family.
We already covered this. As someone who works in political analysis for the left Dems, I promise the current narrative isn't even proven to work to persuade people. I don't know how it became their strat. I know it is not persuasive and it's not working and it's not going to work. And I'm telling you, this is wee woo speculation alert. Okay. But this number, the 35-point edge, is going to increase. Okay. Trump currently has a 35-point edge on Biden on immigration. 35 points. I'm willing to bet that number is going to increase. I could be wrong, but I believe that number is going to get even higher. Why? Because the Trump campaign is going to use this against them and be like, see, even he recognizes it. And you can't trust these guys to fix the problem like I fixed it when I was president. That's what he's going to say. And why shouldn't he? Why shouldn't he say that? You'd be a fucking idiot not to. So dumb. So fucking dumb. And there's even somehow dumber people in this chat that come in here to fucking defend Biden's right-wing anti-immigrant sentiment, thinking that this is actually a brilliant 5D chess move. Masterful gambit, sir. This decaying corpse is actually doing white boy swag. By adopting the right-wing position on immigration, he will surely win over more voters and not alienate those who are already iffy on voting for him. You know, younger demographics of voters who do care about this sort of thing, who do want a progressive immigration policy, completely going against his prior narrative. The worst part about it is that he doesn't need to do this on immigration. He needs to shut the fuck up and not talk about immigration at all. And if asked about immigration, he needs to say, the process is cruel and unusual. We are a nation of immigrants, just like he has said before. Okay? That's what he needs to keep saying. Virtual meal, thank you for the 521 gift the subs. But he ain't doing that. He needs to be talking about abortion every goddamn day of the fucking week. So why do you think they took his shit to shift? Because I don't think it's just them being callous. It's better for Capital to have this. Oh, they took the shift because they're fucking losers, dog. What do you mean? It's better for Capital in general to like have a reactionary approach to immigration so that there's never any pathway to citizenship and documentation for those who are already here and are coming in here. But the reason why they're doing this is because they're stupid and they're desperate. They're dumb and they're desperate. They're doing it because they want to maintain the suburbs. Okay? They have a lot of white voters who swapped over or consider themselves moderate who are incredibly reactionary on the issue of immigration. But what they fail to consider is that those guys are voting for Brandon because he outperforms Biden on maintaining democracy. Maintaining democracy. It's a key issue for a lot of these guys, okay? For older white men who think Donald Trump's behavior is unacceptable. But what he doesn't realize is the more he hammers on the narrative that he's going to actually fucking protect the borders or whatever, the more those guys go, wait a minute, but Trump is the protector of the borders. Maybe I don't care about the Trump being a... Maybe I don't care about Trump refusing to be... maybe I don't care about Trump being a fascist after all, actually. Because if you don't talk about that, if you don't consistently hammer on the narrative that you will defend democracy, Trump is going to destroy democracy, and you start talking about an issue that Trump will always defeat you on, well, you're going to lose. So I think that it's going to backfire and cause those moderate voters to shift rightward again, directly feeding them back into the hands of Trump. It's so fucking dumb. I want to watch more Brandon takes.
I understand my predecessor's legal past today. So here's what I would say to Mr. Trump. Instead of playing politics with this issue, instead of telling members of Congress to block this legislation, join me, or I'll join you. In their lives to save others. And we urge folks to listen to the warnings from the local officials, listen to them.
He's talking about the fires
My
here.
Neanderthal friends who stand on the
Climate
ground.
change.
You'll see in the midst of 20 homes that are just totally destroyed, Texas alone, over $13 billion. $13 billion in 3 years in disaster relief after fires and winter storms across the state. And when disasters strike, there's no red state or but he's been a great partner. I also want to thank Mayor Cowan for his partnership by 7 mayors and cities and towns across South Texas. 4 county judges here from across the state. I told the county judge that I used to be a county official. It's the hardest job in American politics. You know why? They think you can do everything, you don't have the budget. So, Carol Alvadero. Time to act. It's long past time to act. And all the other local officials that are here today, I want to say thanks. Folks, it's real simple. It's time to act. It's long past time to act.
He's talking about immigration now. Let's hear what he has to
I
say.
just received a briefing from the Border Patrol at the border, as well as immigration and enforcement, asylum officers, and they're all doing incredible work under really tough conditions. Really tough conditions. They told me what you already know, and we already know. They desperately need more resources. Say it again, they desperately need more resources, need more agents, more officers, more judges, more equipment in order to secure our border. Folks, it's time for us to move on this. We can't wait any longer. Folks, on my first day as president, I introduced a bill I sent to Congress, a comprehensive plan to fix the broken immigration system and to secure the border. But no action was taken. Then months ago, my team began a serious negotiation in a bipartisan group of senators, leading conservative Republicans and progressive Democrats. And it resulted in a compromise.
Nope, no progressive Democrats. That's fucking bullshit. That bill that he's talking about, the second bill that he's talking about, the recent one, the funding bill for Israel and Ukraine, that one is just pure right wing. Nothing left wing here on that front. That's the reason why I showed you what Brandon was saying when he was running for president last time. Just so you understand how different his approach to this immigration stuff is now. Motherfucker was like, day one, we're fixing this. America is a nation of immigrants. Hitting all the old school lines that Democrats push for. Here.
Has been essential to America. Let's end our immigration has always been essential to America. Let's end our exhausting war over immigration. For more than 30 years, politicians have talked about immigration reform, and we've done nothing about it. It's time to fix it. On day one of my presidency, I kept my commitment and sent a comprehensive immigration bill to the United States Congress. If you believe we need to secure the border, pass it because it has a lot of money for high-tech.
Yes, dude, we'll watch the new Amon Animations video so you don't have to click away, okay? Yes, we will watch it. Remember this classic Sean pose? I'm all for people enjoying Trump leaving, but enjoying Biden coming in is a worrisome sign to me. Enjoying knowing that America will have a $15 minimum wage, a much more robust Medicare system, an actual plan for climate change, etc. is worrisome to you? Thinking that is. Dude, listen. This is why I tell you to be a leftist if you just want to be right. How so? All I'm doing is reading his website. So unless you think he just lied about every policy on there. Guys. I mean, he couldn't have fucking foreseen this. I mean, come on. How could this guy have foreseen this? That he would. Well, so what? You're telling me that that's what politicians do? Just sit there and lie? That's crazy. Well, Biden actually did have one solution that's different this time around. As far as I understand, he decided not to even have an issues page this time. So that's good. Yeah. You know, no promises made means no promises kept. Phenomenal move. Pie nose, progressives in name only. That's funny. That's so dumb. So yeah. I urge all of the debate lords in my chat. I know many of you do not care about the issues themselves, right? Many of you don't. I get it. It's boring and lame to care about issues. Why would you? You just want to simply masquerade as someone who wins arguments and someone who is prescient. Well, if you want to fucking win arguments and come across as like knowledgeable, then being on the left side of most issues is probably going to give you the most accuracy. So even if you only care about coming across like you're right all the time, be a leftist.
border security. If you believe in a pathway to citizenship, pass it. There's over 11 million undocumented folks, the vast majority of here overstaying visas. Pass it. We can actually, if you actually want to solve a problem, I've sent a bill to take a close look at it. We also have to get at the root problem of why people are fleeing, particularly to our southern border from Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. The violence, the corruption, the gangs, the political instability, hunger, hurricanes, earthquakes, natural disasters. When I was president, when I was vice president, the president asked me to focus on providing help needed to address the root causes of migration. And it helped keep people in their own countries instead of being forced to leave. The plan was working, but the last administration decided it was not worth it. I'm restoring the program and asked Vice President Harris to lead our diplomatic effort to take care of this. I have absolute confidence she'll get the job done. Now look, if you don't like my plan, let's at least pass what we all agree on. Congress needs to pass legislation this year to finally secure protection for dreamers. The young people have only known America as their home. And permanent protection for immigrants who are here on temporary protective status who came from countries beset by man-made and natural-made violence and disaster. As well as a pathway to citizenship for foreign workers who put food on our tables. Look, immigrants have done so much for America during this pandemic and throughout our history. The country supports immigration reform. We should act.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC.
Damn, dog. What's happening here, bro? Fuck's going on here? I don't get it. Stark difference. Do you see the clear-cut difference, by the way, the contrast in the rhetoric back then?
Compromise bill. It's the toughest set of border security reforms we've ever seen in this country. It's pretty basic.
Damn, bro, he's trying to put the toughest border security reforms we've ever seen in this country.
Basic. With this deal, we could hire 1,500 additional border security agents, 1,500 additional officers, and between ports of entry. For the last 4 years, staffing has been roughly that, flat, just flat. Agents working overtime, spending long hours patrolling the border, making major sacrifices. And I know it takes a big toll on them and their families. That's why in December I signed a bill finally getting Border Patrol agents what I've been pushed by and reminded by the congressman, overtime pay they deserve. And finally getting overtime pay. I mean, it's ridiculous it took this long. It was long past time, and I was proud to do it, but we need to do more. It's time to step up. It's time to step up, provide them with significantly more personnel and capability. We also need more immigration judges to help handle the backlog. There are 2 million cases, backlog of 2 million cases. This bipartisan deal would provide funding for 100 more immigration judges immediately. It would also establish new, efficient, and fair process for the government to consider asylum claims for those arriving on our border. Today, the process to get a decision on an asylum claim takes 5 to 7 years. Now, you all know it down here, but the people around the country don't understand it. It's far too long. You come in, you say I have a credible fear, and we've changed that standard to make it hard. We want to change, make it harder. And what happens? You say, well, okay, you can come in the country, but come back in 5 to 7 years, maybe as many as 8 years, and you'll get a hearing from before a judge to determine whether you can stay. This will encourage more people. This encourages more people to come to the country. If they get by the first, they got another 5, 7, 8 years before they have to do anything, because they know they cannot handle the caseloads quickly, and they'll be able to stay in this country in the meantime. With new policies in this bill and the addition of 4,300 additional asylum officers, we'll be able to reduce that process to less than 6 months. That would have a serious deterrent effect on those coming north. when the criminal gangs say, we'll get you north, what's $8,000? They say, no, wait, let me get this straight. I'm going to go north.
Remember, he was like, no, those are actually children coming with their parents, not with coyotes. Not with coyotes. Now he's like, them coyotes are bringing the Mexicans over the border wall.
It's going to cost me probably closer to $8,000, I guess, equivalent. And I'm going to get there, and in 6 months they may be able to get rid of me. I don't know, man. 6 months, 7 years, two different things. The person who's thinking about entering the United States understands that cases to be decided in a few weeks or months instead of 5 to 7 years. They're less likely to come in the first place. Not going to pay the cartels thousands of dollars to make that journey. Knowing that, it will be turned around quickly. Look, then we also need more cutting-edge inspection machines to detect and stop fentanyl from entering the United States of America. A year ago, I stood at the border in El Paso, and I watched these machines at work. They were able to detect everything from fentanyl to weapons to people being smuggled in cargo containers. This compromised bill would provide an additional $424 million
Notice
for
how
100 more of these machines.
Notice how any of the fucking compromise, like on the side of the Democratic Party, is still about apprehension and detention. The only aspect of this that is like even somewhat progressive is like hiring more judges for immigration processing. But the entire argument itself revolves around immigration being a matter of national security, a national security issue.
And could save lives in the process. This compromise legislation will also give me as president, or any of the next president, emergency authority to temporarily shut down the border between ports of entry when the numbers of immigrants and migrants, overwhelm the border, straining the Border Patrol's ability to process them. At the same time, at our legal ports of entry, like here in Brownsville, we're making investments in infrastructure. My bipartisan infrastructure law is going to provide nearly $4 billion new dollars to boost security, to ease waiting times at land and ports of entry like Brownsville. And I want to thank again Congressman Gonzalez for helping me get that through and get that passed as the law. That you get the money for example, that's how you got the money for the Gateway Bridge from that fund. Folks, the bipartisan border security deal is a win for the American people. And it's a win for the people of Texas, and it's fair for those who legitimately have a right to come here to begin with. It's a win for the people of Brownsville, and I believe that's why the Border Patrol Union endorsed it. I believe that's why the National Chamber of Commerce endorsed it, not known as a Democratic organization with a capital D. Look, and that's why the Wall Street Journal endorsed it as well. This is a truly bipartisan initiative. That's why the bipartisan...
No, dog, they endorse it because it's right wing. They endorsed it because it is literally the type of bill that Trump would have passed. Almost identical. Like, this is a Trump bill. Okay? And Trump would try to pass this bill, if he gave a shit about bills at all, while simultaneously saying, like, Mexicans are rapists and that's why we got to do it. Okay? And every Democratic Party member would correctly be like, this bill is insane. This is awful. And Trump said Mexicans are rapists. We are a nation of immigrants. But when Brandon is in charge, everyone shuts the fuck up. Bipartisanship is meaningless if you are going to literally pass a right-wing bill, dog. What the fuck do you mean? And the only saving grace of this is the fucking Tea Party caucus that's like, nah, we're way more racist, and also Trump doesn't want us to pass this.